You gotta loosen it up. Loosen yours up.
It's gonna take a lot of cuts to get Chris making his.
Hi, my name's Chris. I used to do this for a living. Been a long time, perishable skills.
All right, so first things we're gonna go over are the parts of a knot. Not just a particular knot, because all knots are made up of 3 different components. So, and we use that terminology when we go to make the knots, like make a bite. What does that mean? That's not a bite, that's a bite. So it's just when the rope is bent over itself and forms a curve. So everybody make a bite. Cool. Now.
One thing, is
Yeah.
it gonna, like, does it matter how you have the end or the
Nope.
loop based on right
Nope,
or left?
it's just basically that part of the rope is a bite. And you can do a bite in the middle of the rope or at the end of the rope. That's still a bite. Okay, so we have a bite. Now a loop is just when the rope crosses over itself. Exactly. Thirdly, just go completely around. So now go around one more time. So make your loop and then go around, and then now the 2 parts of the rope, standing end, running end, that's called a round turn. So all knots and hitches are made up of those 3 components. Good?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the first knot we're going to do is a stopper knot. And it's the same knot you tie when you tie your shoes. So it's just around and like so. That's it. Right. So that can be like a quick improvised knot. It can be something, this is all frayed, and I want to put this at the end of the rope so it doesn't become all tangled up. It can be used as a safety on life safety knots, which we'll get into next. Right, so it's a primary knot for mostly safeties. Okay. The next one we're going to do is a figure 8 on a bite. Right? So when I say bite, what does that mean? Exactly, right? So that means we're starting it off as a bite. And then we're going to take this, we're going to go down, around, and back through. So what do you got there? You have a, what's that called?
A figure 8.
Nope. That is the stopper knot, right? It's just an overhand knot, stopper knot. So you're almost there. So go back, right? And instead of coming through here, you're gonna go around and back through. Now, when you're talking about life safety, this is a life safety knot, which means this is good enough to hang off of a human body, right? It has, these knots, we tie life safety knots for a couple of reasons. One is the strength of the knot. So every time you tie a knot in a piece of rope, it degrades the actual maximum breaking strength of this rope. So this rope is, I believe, somewhere around 7,000 pounds, right? So with this knot in this particular rope, it takes about 20% of the rope's strength away from it. It's still way above 1 person load, right? So it's still safe. All the life safety knots will be in that range, that 20, 25 percentile of degradation of rope strength. When we start getting into some of the other knots, I'll say, yeah, we probably won't use that knot for life safety, because why?
Takes way
It takes too much of the rope strength, right? So the other thing with life safety knots is that we want to dress them out, right? So if you look, you can just squeeze these things and then just start pulling on each end. Pull from like this and then pull like that. And then just keep working this knot like that and keep tightening it. And you'll see it's just, you have nice smooth bends in the rope. Yeah, you're there. Yep, you're there. Perfect. Okay, so the smooth bends keep this knot from loading inefficiently when it gets loaded. The question is, you always hear when you take rescue classes that all knots must have a safety, right? So that safety would comprise of this. It's just doing an overhand knot around it, right? And then the knot is pushed up against the figure 8. Tidbit of information about this knot. We said that it decreases 20%. So the rope is still at 80% of its maximum efficiency, right? Does this knot make it stronger?
No.
No, not at all, because it loads here and it loads here. This gets no loading whatsoever. After real testing, right, in laboratories over the last 20 years of pull testing, this knot never made it stronger, and it never made it any more safe, right? The reason why we tell people to tie safeties on a rope is because if this piece is too short, it can work its way back through cyclic loading. You know what that means, big word? That's cyclic loading. It means like it keeps doing this and doing this, and then eventually it starts to wear through. And if this was only this big, it would eventually jiggle through, and then the knot would come apart. That's the only reason we put a safety on a knot. So if this thing is a foot long and you need to get on a piece of rope fast, do it. It's not gonna be a problem. Okay, so that's the modern theory on safeties, safety knots. And when we get into some of the other knots that we're gonna tie, I'm gonna show you some better versions of safeties. All right, so 8. Next thing we're gonna do is a bowline. I'm gonna show you 2 ways of tying this. This is when you're doing it in your hand, and it's the cleanest, right? So I'll come like this. So starting here, we're going around. All right, now grab this and turn it. Let's see where you're at. Yeah, now just take this and just turn it like that. Perfect. All right, so now we're gonna come up through the hole. This is where that rabbit, I hate the rabbit. But the rabbit's gonna come out of the hole. It's gonna go down and around the tree and then back down the hole. Now you'll notice you have this. What do you got there? Pull that back out a second. Okay, let's go.
There you go.
Yeah, you got to keep that loop. All right. So you're going down, around, and then back through the hole. And then you're going to take this one and this one and put them together.
Okay, like that.
Yeah,
Still
hold
wanna hold
those
this
two.
end.
Hold these two with your right hand, and then,
This hand.
yep, start tightening it. Just pull up on it. That's it. So there are 2 kinds of bowlines. There's actually probably 12. But the 2 most common ones are an inside bowline, is when this end is on the inside of the loop. That's the strong, there's so many ways we can tie this, and they all have an application. So as a loop, end loop, this is the strongest configuration. They have something called a cowboy bowline. I'm gonna show it to you. You don't have to tie it because we really never do tie these things. Is where the loop is gonna come through the other side. And I'll let you see the comparison. No. That's a cowboy bowline. It almost looks the same, right? But what's the difference?
This is on the outside.
That's on the outside, right? This can slip, right? It does not slip in this configuration as a loop. All in all, do the inside bowline. That is the 99% of the time used for a bowline. So we're going to make a bite. And make that bite, since we're going to use this on the end of the line, maybe possibly on our harness, right? Let's make it so this rope is about the length of your forearm. Right on. Okay, now, if you were to take that distance in half, give yourself a little more just to have something to play with. We're just going to tie an overhand knot. That stopper knot we did before, you're going to tie that overhand knot in it like so. Okay, this is where the magic happens. All right, let's take a look at this. So, if you look at this knot, if you lay it out just the way I have it, not cinched up yet. Yep, loosen it up a little bit so you can have some play with it. Let me help you out. Like that. So you're going to hold it just like that. Okay? You see how you have on the right side, kind of looks like a bridge. Here's your bridge. Right? There's your bridge. And let's think of this as water that runs underneath the bridge. Right? So let's go back to here. Now with your left hand, you're going to hold this. Yeah, there you go. All right, so we're all in the same place. Left hand over the top, and then you're going to grab these two and pull them forward. And then work that slack out. So, left hand, pinch this. Right hand through it. Come by and pinch these two. And then just pull those up. And work that through until it looks like that. It loads both rings of this bowline, so it equally distributes the weight on both. Right? And the best part about this is you can load this thing up, like hook a truck to it, load it. And then to break a bowline, you just basically put your thumb there and you keep wiggling it back and forth and it'll come loose. So that's a great knot for end of a rope, for life safety, that once you practice that a little bit, you'll be able to tie so fast. There's no this, there's no up and around trees. It's just an overhand knot. And then you're taking the loop over the top and working it through. Here's what I was talking about, is doing an easy bowline. So, you're going to start off, you can do it on that tree over there. You're going to go around the tree from left to right. Okay? Now, just kind of get this in your hand so it's not going to drop it. We're going to go to this part of the rope, right? The standing end. And we're going to make a loop. That loop from the part that's coming off the tree is on top. And it's facing your right. It's on top facing your right, right? Okay. We're going to take that loop and roll it towards you. Over the top of the standing end of this line. Now, should look like that. Yeah, exactly. Now I want you to take this working end of the rope and put it through from the right side to the left. Yep. Now tighten it up a little bit. Now hold these two, right? You're going to bring this back on itself again. You got it. Now hold these two, right like that. And I want you to take your left hand and just slowly pull down on it. You had it, you had it, you had it. Just didn't roll. You tied a bowline. It's like magic.
That is. I've never seen it done that.
That's so fast.
Nice and
It's literally flip, flap, wrap, done. We'll do it one more time. And then I'm going to show you how to improve it. Take it like this, bud. Step on this for a second. Get that out of your way. Just take this and push it forward with your left hand. Yeah. No. Do you see how? Yep. Other way.
Underneath.
Underneath.
Your left hand underneath to make the loop.
Here's another way. Grab it in your hand and turn it that way. Your hand can only turn one direction, right? You can't do it like that. So if you're underneath and then you twist it. Yeah. There you go. Now let's pick up, you can leave that there for now or whatever. Now we're going to just roll that knot towards ourselves. So it should look like that. You got it. Pull that loop through. And then we're going to our end. And we're going to go right to left. And hold on to that. What do we call that kind of rope? What's this? A bite? Right? We're going to hold the bite of rope. Then slowly pull on our running end. Nailed it. Nailed it. Nailed it. Okay. People will ask, how do I tie a safety on a bowline? Most people go to the old overhand knot, right? Mm-hmm. Once again, does that make the knot any stronger?
No.
Not at all. In the climbing communities, they have something called a Yosemite bowline or a Yosemite finished bowline. What a Yosemite finish does, it actually adds another nipping turn to the bowline and it locks it. So it actually makes it safer and stronger. So the way that's done is, see how this is naturally in the center? You just let it drop. And we're going to go around this end once. And then we're going to feed it through here. So now we'll tighten, take this rope, and we pull on it, and then we take this one and pull on it, and now it self-locks upon itself. It still has all the properties of a bowline. It's a little stronger because it has two nipping turns it's pulling on. Okay. And if your rope's short, it won't weave through. That's the proper way to safety a bowline.
Okay.
If you tie a bowline on a life safety harness, this is the way it should be done.
Nice.
So you have a bite, a round turn, and a loop, right? So essentially, you have knots and you have hitches, right? Made with those three components. This is a clove hitch, right? So it's made of two loops. So we're going to go around this tree. Help me out here, brother. All right, so this is what?
A
Bite,
bite.
loop, or round turn?
A round turn.
Nope. Round turn would be around one more time.
Oh.
So that is a loop. All right. So now we're going to go around one more time.
Now
I
it's
think
a round turn.
we need more rope. Okay. So there's our X, right?
There's our round turn.
So there's our first loop, and our second loop is going to go through here like so. If you look at it, it's two parts. It's two parts. Those parts are hitches. That is a half hitch. That is a half hitch. When they come together, it makes a clove hitch. Right? So clove hitch can be tied around something like this. Or put your arm up like that. Right? If you have a post and you want to tie a clove hitch around a post, there's no reason to wrap it around and keep wrapping it. It's just one goes in this direction, one gets turned towards you. See how they're opposing? And then just cross them over and put them over the top of the post, and we have the same exact knot. So a clove hitch is considered a constricting hitch. It gets all its strength from the number of the wraps and how it constricts around the object to lock it in. A clove hitch needs a safety because if there's any cyclic loading whatsoever, it's going to come out. Right? So what we're going to do is we're going to give ourselves enough for a safety. And this is really important. Now, again, safety is only going to be if it's used for life safety, right? Or if you're tying your shelter up and you don't want the wind to blow it over and you're inside it in the middle of the night. But if it's a quick, I need to lash a rope to a tree or a stick, you don't need a safety. So, what would we do here? Will we tie our safety here? No. Because when we do that, it actually breaks the friction of this knot. So what needs to be done is this needs to continue around, and then we tie our safety. So this knot, the safety is just keeping it from getting unraveled. Right? Once again, our knot strength is based off of the friction in the constriction portion of this knot. Check? Right on. All right, clove hitch done both ways, around an object and on a post. So let's practice clove hitches. That's it. And we're gonna go in this direction to tighten it so it constricts it. See there how we have our X, but they're two separate? Right, two separate? That's it. And then we would go around it to do our safety. I don't think we have enough rope, but that's okay, we don't need it. Got the point. One the other way. Yeah, that's it. And then, yeah, you got it. So easy a caveman could do it.
Thank you.
All right. So those are some really basics that can be used in both bushcraft, survival, and life safety. There's a few other hitches that we're going to go over real quick that will help you make your ridgeline if you don't have any toggles or prussics or any of that kind of stuff. So we're going to come over here. This is a trucker's hitch. I actually call it an improved trucker's hitch. We're going to tie that now so you can see it. What we're doing is we're making a...
A half hitch.
It is a half hitch, yeah. Otherwise known as a...
Bite.
That would be a bite. That would be a loop. A loop in the rope, which makes a half hitch. You were right on that. And then we're going to just feed up a bite of rope. And we're going to pull on it. Okay? So in this direction, it's actually locking on the rope. Right? So this now goes around the tree. Like so.
I see what you're doing here.
So we're going to go, this is a trucker's hitch. I can pull on it and it tensions this up. The only thing we have to do is make sure that the bark is not biting on the rope and not allow it to tension up correctly on both sides. Now, if I let go of this, what's going to happen?
It's gonna loosen.
It's going to loosen, right? The improved trucker's hitch is nothing more than putting a round turn in, right? So now, when I pull on this,
That gives some
it locks itself. Right? It locks itself. And if we could get this thing to really distribute some of the friction off of this tree, that's what's keeping it from getting really tight. Now I don't have to have someone hold it to tie a safety. At this point now, all you do is tie either half hitch. I like doing a half hitch with a bite instead. Because then what I can do is if I want to be able to get out of here quick, so I can stick a stick or a tent stake in there, like so. Right? So if I have to get out of here, like it's starting a lightning storm and it's getting unsafe, or we're talking about being in a non-permissive environment where we need to escape and evade, right? There's nothing more than popping this stick out and now we're ready to go again. We can get out. There's no like massive amount of knots to have to untie to get this thing down on the ground. That end over there can be a bowline or a clove hitch just finished off, and then come over here to a trucker's hitch, and there's no parts and pieces to your ridge line whatsoever. It's pretty simplistic. Yeah. If it was colder here in Florida, like it was up in Destin, and we had snow, and we needed water, we could take this and with cravat, right, triangular bandage or a shamag, we could hang that here, the points of it, fill it with snow, and then put this over our fire, and then it could melt and drip into a pot. And we can gather, it's a snow making machine, a water making machine out of snow. Purify water, we can hang our pots. And what's nice about this is you can flex it lower to get it lower to the fire, or you can bring it up so it's higher, right? And then you leave the rest of your cord so you can adjust it to where you want your pot to hang, right? Now, to make this, there's a series of ways to do this. I'm going to disassemble it and then we'll put it back together. It's nothing more than one of those, and then there's a knot on the end of the rope so when we pull through it doesn't unravel, right? But clove hitch works just as well. So now we're going to put these three together like so. Not too tight, right? If we jam them up really tight, we won't be able to do our wraps and fraps. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to do 3 wraps to start. And then by that means is like so. 1, 2, 3. Okay, then we're going to do something called a frap. And that means we're just going to go down through. Kind of keep these as neat as we can. Once. Twice. 3 times. And then we're going to move on to the next side. once. Oop, this one's still sticking.
So this is what you'll be doing next time you do a camp out. Be cooking some stew out there,
Yeah.
or chili.
Probably hang a can of beanies and beans.
Yeah.
And beanies off the bat, right over the little fire.
Twice.
No squirrels.
Those are good. This possum tastes better than squirrels, man.
I'm not eating.
Well, honestly, if you had to, you would. Ask great grandma what she used to eat growing up.
Three on each. And then we're just going to come over here. And what's that knot?
Have bitch.
No.
I mean, clover.
Clove hitch. Over the top. And then we'll just feed this through, dress it up. That's it. And we can just go right over the top of that, stretch it out, and there's our tripod.
Voila.
Voila. There you go.
What's that?
Now, you just brought up a good point.
Oh, look at that.
We're going to go into bonus skills. What's this made out of?
Stainless steel.
This top is probably made out of plastic, right? And that's going to melt. So we can't put that over a fire. And plus, if we were boiling this is insulated, isn't it?
No.
No? Okay, good. So if we needed to boil this, we would have to take the lid off or it would explode. But now how do we hang this over the fire to boil it? Here's our stick. It's bigger than the mouth, right? We're going to offset it a hair because you won't be able to get it in or out. So we're going to take this and we're going to like that, and that has it. Boom.
Now you can boil water.
Now you can boil water. And you can pick it up off the fire, and then with a gloved hand or something, when you release this pressure, because we tied it on an angle slightly, it should be able to come out. So,
Yeah.
If not, use a stick to push it down. Or
Yeah. it's because I didn't cut the end off. We would cut the end off.
Yeah.
And it's getting in the way. It doesn't come out now.
I have small fingers. I could probably.
There you go. I'll hold the bottom.
Probably.
There you go.
Easy.
Fat
That
fingers.
easy.
You just need to kid with you all the time.
Right.
That's it.
Do that or eat the stick.
The Prussic hitch that we talk about is this. This is called a Prussic loop. Okay? The Prussic loop is made up of two knots called the double fisherman's. Right? That's what forms the Prussic loop. So without making this or knowing how to make this, then we can't make this, correct?
Correct.
So hold on to that for a second. So we're going to do a Prussic loop. I'm going to make it at a paracord just to demonstrate because it's easier to see. And then maybe we can put that on the heavier rope over there. Okay. So we're starting off with a loop. And then
Keep
we're
forgetting.
going to put our hand on top of this.
Okay.
And with this working end, we're going to wrap it over our thumb once, twice, See how we're keeping our loops? And then we're going to take this and feed it through. That's called a fisherman's knot. Now we're going to take it, flip it around. We're going to do the same thing. Once, twice. Pull our thumb out, stick it through, lock it up. Looks exactly the same as this one, except when we pull them together, they compress on each other.
The double fisherman's.
Yep. And you'll notice, if they're tied correctly, they'll all go together. See the double X's? And as I pull on this loop, they tighten up. So that is a prusik loop at this point. We can take this and tie our prusik hitch. All right, we want to keep this knot out of the way and drop it. All right, once, twice, 3 times, and then just take up all the slack there 3 times. And now we have a triple wrapped 1, 2, 3. Right, each side is triple wrapped prusik. And you give that a tug on this. Go ahead, pull it this way. Go ahead, grab it, bud. Does it grab?
No.
There you go.
Right, and then does it grab here? Yep, right, it's grabbing on that rope. It's not going anywhere. It allows it to be moved very simply by just breaking the tension on the friction, and then it'll lock in either direction.
Because it's just moving this, not the whole thing.
Right, exactly. It's biting here in the center. Okay, so there's how we make a prusik. So let's go over here now and do it for real. Yep. All right, so we're going to drop it down in the center, pull it through.
What's easy?
And you see how there's my knot here and this loop here is smaller? But I'm keeping, always watching that I'm keeping that knot not dead there. It's always off to the side. So pull your tension from here. There you go. And now back it off a little bit so you have some room. All right, you got it now? Hold it. Okay. So we're going to drop it again. Through. And then one more time. Through. Now here's the most important part. You've got it all nice and neat, but they're spread out, right? Take a look at mine. See how they're all spread out? So what we're going to do is going to put them together and we're going to roll it with our thumb. We have to spend less and less time trying to organize these if you do it in that order. Yeah. So now just put these together, and now we're just going to roll this with our thumb as we pull on with your left hand. You see how nice and neat they stay? You didn't have to move one over the other. Now you have a prusik. So does it